Hello and welcome to our episode of Live Out Your Potential, a Solid Minds podcast series. I am your host, Rose Niraneza, and today we're going to talk about a bit of a difficult topic, but hopefully we'll have a great conversation together. And our topic today is suicide. So this is something that a lot of people face, be it a university student, a loved one, a family member, or even someone you work with or go to school with. But I will be tackling this topic with two wonderful guests today. We have Chantal Dahogora. She is a senior clinician at Solid Minds Counseling Clinic, and she has over 20 years of experience with trauma, with suicide prevention, and the like. And then we also have Emmanuel Daishimie, who is a student at University of Rwanda, Huye campus. But not only is he a student studying medicine and surgery, he's also the vice coordinator of an initiative at school called Sanginshuti Initiative that talks about mental health. So, you're most welcome.
Thank you, Rose.
Yes, and I want to take this time to ask both of you to just give a bit more information about yourselves and what you do. So I'd like to hand it over to Chantal.
Thank you, Rose, for hosting us. It's a pleasure to be here. As you just said, my name is Chantal Dahogora. I'm a psychotherapist. Again, over 20 years of experience, going 24. I'm a mother of 3 adult children, and I like what I do.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
And Emmanuel, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you too.
Yes, and I wanted to ask both, when you introduce yourself, can you share with us a bit more about this initiative called Sanginshuti Initiative and how it is linked with mental health?
Yeah, thank you. My name is Emmanuel Daishimie. I am doing medicine and surgery at the University of Rwanda under MasterCard Foundation Scholars Program. I am the vice coordinator of Sanginshuti Initiative, which is a student-led initiative that aims at combating mental health issues among the university students. Among the activities that we do, we have the wellness sessions that are carried every Thursday of the week, and where we go and share stories. We have movie nights, we have dances, and we just connect, we relax. Sometimes we even sing, just as to promote the mental health among the university students. That's
Wow.
all I can say about Sanginshuti.
Thank you so much. And it's such a privilege to have both very pivotal people who are very interested in mental health. So I want to first ask Chantal, from a clinical and psychological perspective, can you help us break down the definition of suicide?
Thank you, Rose. That's a broad question. I will try to make it very simple, and I'm not going to bore you with the scientific facts. I'm just going to stay to the language where everyone in our audience can understand and can relate and grasp easily. So suicide is not a disease. That's number one. Suicide is a consequence, not a cause. So for someone to get to the point where they contemplate taking their lives, they've been suffering for many, many years. So there's more of underlying, like we like to say it, those are the symptoms that we call tip of icebergs. You see what is surfacing, but you really don't know what is underneath. Mm-hmm. So they've been suffering for so long. So in short, what it is, it's when someone has gone to a darker place and they feel life is not worth living. Mm. They feel they would better die than live. So at that point, they have gone to the point where they hate themselves, the way the life they are living. They feel like nobody cares about them. Actually, sometimes they fear the world will be better without them. So it's an act of taking your life intentionally, and sometimes it's well planned, and to start with maybe self-harm, having a plan, and then execute the plan. So we talk about suicide attempt, suicide ideation, and other terminologies. I'm very glad actually we're having this conversation where the world is celebrating or raising awareness on this topic of suicide. It's September is always Suicide Prevention Month worldwide. Mm-hmm.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I wanted to maybe ask this question now to Emmanuel. As a student, what do you think could be some of the common maybe reasons or challenges that students may be facing that could possibly lead to someone thinking about ending their life?
Yeah, thank you. For students, we face many challenges. The first one I would say is academic pressure. The need for higher grades. There is expectation from the parents and the school. Also, there is some people facing the fear of failure, where they don't want to fail. They feel like, oh, what if I fail? Oh, that's the first point. Also, I can say the financial struggles. As students, we don't have enough money just for getting whatever we need. So this adds pressure to the students. Also, I can say the relationships. As the young people, we want to be loved, we want to engage in relationships. So if you are rejected, if you have a breakup, it can affect your mental health and feel like, oh, I'm not worthy of being loved, I'm worthless, something like that. Also, I can say that currently, due to the social media, it have caused the comparisons where someone can used to compare with their celebrities, feeling like I have to live like that one. So this adds more pressure, and they feel like if I can't be living that life, so how am I living? This life is not what I deserve, and it's better if I die. Also, there is another issue of the medical conditions, where some people can be having some issues, like just living with HIV. They feel like, oh, I'm not worthy of living. I'm living with HIV. What if the people knows that I'm having HIV? All my friends will leave me. Then this adds to them that pressure of feeling worthless, and they can have suicidal thoughts. There are more that I can mention due to time, but yeah, that's what I can say about the causes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, thank you so much. I think as someone who does work with a lot of students, would you like to add more to what Emmanuel shared?
Yeah, absolutely. I just said in the introduction how suicide is a tip of iceberg and there's some underlying issues. So Emmanuel has alluded to some of those issues where someone feels rejected because maybe they break up with a boyfriend or girlfriend. But most of the time, there's much deeper underlying issues. Maybe they have suffered from childhood trauma and they did not get any love from home, parents, siblings, family members, or they lived through maybe a situation where family was dysfunctional, a lot of violence going on. So they have already put in the mind as a child that this world is not worthy living because nobody loves me, nobody cares about me. I've always been pushed away. My mom did not raise me, my dad did not raise me. So they have already these preconceived ideas from growing up, which may have made them already vulnerable. So once there's something adding on what they have been living through, then it explodes. They have no more room to take anything else, especially that they have been maybe struggling for many years. So the other thing is all of those things, like even they having another condition, like what we call comorbidities, where you have two problems health-wise. Maybe you have HIV and you have mental health issues, or sometimes they go hand in hand. Like depression, it's always part of the underlying issues. When you have PTSD, childhood trauma, or other kind of traumas, you will also have depression because you're not coping with your trauma. if you have been depressed from other things, you will also have other conditions lingering around, maybe eating disorder or lack of appetite altogether, or sleeping disorder or disturbances, or even sometimes there are other things which can come with whatever. Isolating is one of them. But bottom line is that students particularly, they live through under a lot of pressure. Some of them have left home for the first time. They have had time to adjust in the new system, and then navigating the campus becomes very overwhelming for some. So if they don't have good coping mechanisms, if they don't have good people who they can look up to, like is it Sakichuti?
Yeah.
If they have this kind of platform where they can go and learn and feel like they're not alone in these struggles, they can just suffer from their own corners, and then it gets worse and worse. Any mental health issue, if you don't attend to it, even just stress management, if you don't attend to it, it gets you into much deeper problems. So then you start feeling like stressed out, not happy, always having low mood. But then it leads to more complicated situations where you start missing classes because you don't have energy to get up and get ready to go in the school. Maybe you have image problems, body image problems too. You don't want to go in the public because you don't want to be judged. And then it spirals. But I want to say this, Rose. It's all how your mind gets distorted. Because this depression, as I told you, I'm not going to bore you with much of scientific stuff, but there are things happening in the brain, in the background. Maybe brain chemicals, they're not functioning as they should function. Neurotransmitters, neuroreceptors are not functioning as they should function. So there is medical reason why someone is feeling the way they feel. However, I guess the reason why we do this awareness too is to let people know that it's okay not to be okay. Because if your mind is not functioning the way it's supposed to function, if you're not sleeping the way it's supposed to sleep, then your health will be actually affected. Your mental health, but also your physical health. So if someone is contemplating suicide, it's not because they are weak, as the society used to judge them, or they are not whatever strong enough. No, it's because actually something is happening in their systems. So at that point, they should have attention with professionals. Maybe we can allude to the language maybe afterwards as you lead us in the conversation. But I will say this. We all have to be our brothers and sisters keepers. If someone says something like, I feel tired of living, don't take it as a joke. Always attend to that language. They may make it look funny just to dilute it, but once they express it, clinically, we never take it as a joke. We have to explore more. If you're not professional, you say, I think this is important and it's severe. I need to refer you to someone who can help. And sometimes you have to ask them if they have a plan, because for someone to start expressing suicidal thoughts, they have been suffering over 10 years. And for the young people, they are even prone to those kind of behaviors or that kind of symptoms. Why? Globally speaking, I think the statistics right now are saying that the third of the people who contemplate suicide, suicide is the third leading cause of death among young people between 15 and 29, 15 years and 29 years old. So you can see the third reason, the third cause of death in the world, it's suicide among younger population, and that's a high number. So I don't have statistics in Rwanda, but we need to be careful and we need to make sure that we attend to our people, because we see them. They are in the community living with us. They are at school. We are in the classroom together. Sometimes people start by changing behaviors, isolating, not responding to the phone calls. You mentioned activities, Emmanuel. That's very good. People have to come together and have fun. outside the school system, outside the academic work. You have to have fun, you have to socialize. Because most of people who are in depression, they tend to isolate. So at least they have a platform where they can come together. So we see the symptoms happening. We see them getting worse and worse. They start maybe not feeling happy, have a flat face, being low mood, isolating. They don't responding to your invitation, phone calls and text messages. They miss classes. You start seeing people missing classes. You start seeing them changing, even hygiene-wise, or the way they dress up. They are losing maybe weight or gaining too much of weight. You can see symptoms as it goes, and then in the end, someone is going down the hill slowly and slowly until it's that dark place I was talking about. So, and also we have some stages of suicide prevention. People start by just having a thought, a random thought, very sporadic. When someone triggers you, maybe you did not get the mark you were expecting, and then you start feeling, oh, I'm a failure, as we were saying. This is not worth for me. I would rather die. They're sporadic. And some of them will tell you, I don't really have active thoughts. They're very passive, but I wish I could die in my sleep. That it's suicidal ideation. They don't say that I'm going to take my life, but they're saying, sometimes I have this wish that I could die in my sleep, or I'm because of my faith I cannot do it, but I just wish I can go to bed and never wake up. All of those words they use, they matter, and they are very, very important. And sometimes as family members we don't know, so we brush it. We say, why are you saying this? What are you missing? We have everything. You're in school, you have parents, you have a home. Like we start referring to the material stuff, but that's not what matters to them, for them at the point. What matters is how they feel inside. All material means nothing when you feel like the world is not worth living. So we really have to be intentional. And also to the people who may be suffering, even those who are listening to us now, and they are be struggling and fighting for their life to stay away, to stay alive, or to stay here, I will really encourage them to seek help. It's not something you can do on your own. You have to seek help. The other point that I want to make, which is very confusing for people, when people are planning to take their lives, you can see symptoms, but once they have a plan, they act happier, they change, because now they know it's a matter of time, hours for them to suffer. Because what they're running away from is the emotional pain. Emotional pain is very, very real, and it is very, very painful. It's easy for you and I to see if someone is bleeding that they are hurt. But it's not so simple for the community to see that this person is actually bleeding inside. And it is really painful. You cannot sleep. Maybe you have paranoia. You walk on the street, you feel somebody is after you. You are always beating up yourself, self-sabotaging, self-beating, and other syndromes that you have, imposter syndrome and other stuff, body image. So all those symptoms, sometimes over time, your mind feeds you only with negative thinking, nothing positive out there. Even if you have, for adults too, even if you have children, your mind tells you, oh, maybe these children are suffering because of you, or maybe your pain will be transmitted to them. It is better for them if you're not around. And you believe it. That voice in your head, it's convincing. So in the end, people may act up to it. They may attempt. They may just try to fight on their own, the thoughts. But also they may even take their lives, and we don't call it successful, but it's an unfortunate situation actually. But what I'm gonna tell people heal from it. Even at the darkest place you could be today, you can heal from it. You can bounce back. I always tell people, my clients, I'm like, you know what? I don't worry about the ones who are here. I worry about those who are out there suffering and they have no help. I think I will stop here for now. I will pause.
Thank you so much, Chantal. You've shared such powerful and interesting insights. And I think what stood out to both myself and Emmanuel, if maybe I'm going to ask him shortly, is, once someone reaches that level of thinking of ending their life, there are signs. And I think as a professional, you've been trained to see those signs.
Mm-hmm.
So, Emmanuel, as a student and also as a leader in Sanginshuti Initiative, could you share with us maybe some of those signs and symptoms that you teach or maybe you've seen or heard of, so that other students can start to recognize, oh, maybe my colleague or my peer is struggling? Could you share that with us?
Thank you. Usually, most people who have suicidal thoughts have signs. Suicide is not something that comes today just and be happened. It's not something that have one step. It have stages, as my colleague said. So through those stages, there are signs. Firstly, there is the behavioral changes. You can see someone who enjoyed having fun, having hobbies, and they withdraw from them. They had friends, but they don't want to talk to them. Or you can see also the emotional signs. You can see people, they're always sad, they are always crying, and you don't know what's wrong with them. Also, there is the social indicators. When you see someone is not interested in going to the social gatherings, and if they even manage to go to the social gatherings, they can't even speak one word. They just go and be silent without saying any word. Also, there is the verbal hints, as my colleague said, when someone says, like, I don't feel worthy of living anymore. And like, also they can even say, why am I alive? Something like that. If you hear someone saying such words, you don't have to leave them alone, but you have to approach them. Also, there is the risky behaviors. Someone can go to alcohol abuse. They go and consume those drugs. Also, they go into reckless behaviors, which was not before. So that shows that they're not. They feel like they are not worthy of living. They don't want to take care of themselves, and this is what some people shows suicidal thoughts shows. That's some of the signs I can say, but there are more. All you have is just to listen to them, show how they act, and teach them or show them empathy and show that what they are having is not them alone, but you are with them. Mm-hmm. That's what I can say.
Yes, thank you. And actually, to add, one thing that stood out to me when Chantal was sharing was when parents start to say, oh, but why are you so down? Don't you see that you have, food? Don't you see you have a nice place? Don't you see ABC? They give you reasons. Yeah. So I want us to actually talk about maybe we call them stigmas or misconceptions about suicide. Yeah. And I want to hear from you, Emmanuel, as a student, but also as a MasterCard scholar.
Yeah.
Have you heard some of the misconceptions or the stigmas behind when someone wants to talk about suicide? Maybe they don't have that feeling, but what is the environment or what is the belief around suicide?
Yeah, usually people say that someone who commits suicide is weak or a coward. If someone die because of suicide, they feel like, oh, you deserve to die, because if you don't love yourself and you kill yourself, who gonna save you? Yeah, and people who are having suicidal thoughts, people say that you're limited to that you are too emotional simply. And they say, for example, if someone is having the struggles due to relationships, and they ask, they feel like, I'm not worthy of living because that girl, that boy, hate me, or just we break up. They feel like, oh, how can you die because of one guy or one boy in about 8 billions of people in the world? Why? They feel like, yongwa rikiza. That's what they say in here in Rwanda. Yongwa rikiza, and yeah, that's not a disease. You will be healed. No need for therapy. No need for counselor. Just go. You will be healed. Yeah, that's what people say about their mental health. Even the culture. For example, for the men fear to seek for the mental health support because of the dignity. They feel like, I'm a man. How can I go just for seeking the help? That's what caused there is high number of suicide in men compared to the women.
Yes.
Yeah, globally. That is what the research has proved. Yeah, that's what I can say.
Actually, there are more women attempts, but there are a high number of men succeeding.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because women, they usually tend to overdose or try to take something which is poisonous or hang themselves. But the guys, they go hard. They go hard by drowning themselves, shooting themselves. They make sure that there's no room for them to fail. So the highest number of deaths are in men, but the highest number of attempts is in women.
That's so
in female.
Thank you for the addition.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting seeing that. Of course, yes, we mentioned that it's a global thing, but even the approach on how to do it is very unique depending on the gender. And I do really appreciate that. I think that's something that was new for me, seeing that when men do attempt and successfully achieve it, their approaches are more like definite. That once I do this, I will guarantee that it will be successful.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to ask for you, Chantal, given that when I heard Emmanuel sharing, a lot of the concerns and the stigmas come from people kind of just brushing off concerns and those low feelings and tough feelings. What can you say to people who have that type of mindset of like, why should you feel so bad that someone broke up with you, for example?
Or you never know what I'm going through.
Right.
So we try to compare. I think it's, as I said, misconception, stigma, but also lack of awareness. There's a lot of lack of awareness. Emmanuel alluded on drugs and alcohol dependence and stuff. Even in that situation, we see a lot of lack of awareness, where people who are struggling with alcohol addiction or drugs, they are always pushed away as like it's a bad behavior that you can shake off and get rid of. But it is not that easy. Again, talking about, like, we have to, as a society, we have to come to the conclusion, we have to come to the awareness that mental health is an illness like any other illness in your body. Because the same way we have creatinine in our kidneys, enzymes in our stomach, all those kind of things which helps our body to function. Also, the brain has brain chemicals. Like any other hormones in our system, the brain also has brain chemicals. So those brain chemicals, from this long-term suffering emotionally, they will actually start working differently. Either they produce too little or they produce too much. Either way, if they're not regulated, you will change. Your behaviors, your thinking, your decision-making, everything in you will be alterated. So we have to really be aware that there's something scientifically happening in you. The way we check our hearts, I usually tell people, like, I wish every Rwandan should have a therapist or a counselor. Why? Or even we can organize the society in such a way that we have some people, like we have abajyanama b'ubuzima. I wish we could maybe provide some training so they can be there for people. Because when you go in the village, you always see people who are drunk on the street and being marginalized even more, being like mocked. Nobody cares about their dignity. Right. Yeah, so it's so sad to watch. So we need to come to the point where every Munyarwanda knows that mental health is part of our well-being. Being sick mentally, it's the same way you get sick in your stomach, your back, your head, your headache, yes, all those kind of things. So we need to normalize mental health, that it's part of us. We are all candidates of having some issues. By the way, so most of us have issues. We just cope differently. Mm-hmm. Some people can manage stress, others cannot, and there's nothing wrong with it. You just need to seek help to be able to manage. Because in our systems, Rose, we are equipped by emotional auto-regulation. It's in us. The same way the air we breathe is regulated, the blood circulation is regulated, our emotions also are regulated. But when someone is not mentally okay, that's how someone starts changing, because those brain chemicals are not functioning as they should function. So in all of this, to say that we need to come to the conclusion where we do massive campaigns to let people know that it's okay not to be okay, and when you seek help, you can witness it yourself in the clinic. Mm-hmm. People come to us very, very sick or very, very addicted. But within 3 to 6 months, they're back to their feet and they are functioning normal. So during the commemoration, we had a few cases of suicide attempts and suicide ideations, especially from young people. But right now, they're all back to their lives. So it's the way you treat malaria and go back to your life. It's the same way that we treat mental health and you go back to your life. Suicide is usually the very, very last result. And that's why every time when they say that somebody took their lives, I feel so sad and I feel guilty, because I'm thinking as a society we have failed that person, because suicide can be prevented. And we see it coming. Every time when there's someone who dies from taking their lives, you can hear people saying, "We saw it, but we did not really know what it was. We knew someone was struggling," and they start feeling guilty after the fact. So we need to be more proactive and reach out to people, and, as I said, be our brothers and sisters keepers, so we won't lose people. All these people are struggling with addiction. Most of the time, when they cannot get off it, they start contemplating suicide. Why? Because they feel like, I'm ashamed to my family, I'm a loser, I'm not contributing to the society, my life has no value. Because they've been trying to go to maybe multiple times to the rehab, nothing worked out. They tried to do whatever. They're not even aware that you can go to rehab and get healed. And they don't even realize that relapses are part of the process. So they end up hating themselves to the point where they feel like, okay, I've tried, I'm tired, I can no longer do myself. So we really need to try to raise the voice and multiply the campaigns so we can reach out to as many people as we can, so at least they have awareness. Right. As they said, information is power. So if I know if I'm struggling, I have issues, that means that at least I know. If you don't know what you don't know, you don't know what you don't know. I see it also with a lot of couples, conflict, violence, and domestic violence and other things. All those things may lead to that. The shame. If a woman is being abused in her own home, she doesn't want to separate, she doesn't want to go away, she doesn't want to leave the children, she's stuck. in that abuse to the point that she's like, okay, so this life is not worth living. So we need to understand that our lives has a value. Especially as a believer, I cherish the gift of life, and we all should, because life has a best side of it. But sometimes when you go to that place, you don't see it. But once you get healed and your emotions are regulated again, your brain chemicals are regulated, you go back to your feet and you even do better than before. So I would encourage everyone who may be struggling to reach out and seek help.
Yes, thank you so much. There was two things that really stood out to me, which was that fact that we can indeed bounce back.
Absolutely.
Once we do have those resources and know those signs. And it's actually great that Emmanuel is here because he's in an initiative that is those quote unquote campaigns that can go and support. So I want to hear from you, Emmanuel, specifically. What resources does Sanginshuti have? Maybe you don't tackle suicide as directly as Chantal does, given that she's a clinical professional. But I'd love to hear from you, especially the name itself. It shows that element of you guys are trying to be keepers and supporters of your peers at University of Rwanda, Huye campus. So I would love to hear from you about what resources do you have that supports just talking about how it's okay not to be okay.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Now we are having the month of campaign for the preventing suicide.
Wow.
This is the month of prevention of suicide. And we also had the suicide prevention day on last 10th of this September. So as the young people, we raise our voice about how suicide is real and it can be prevented. We use social medias to sharing the message, because most of people of our ages are using those social medias. We share a message of hope. We tell people that you are all worthy of living and nothing that can cost you your life, because life is the capital we have in this life. We also like at Sanginshuti, through those sessions, we create Google Forms for sharing the stories, but anonymously. So people who are struggling, they can share their stories and what they are facing, so we can discuss it and share advice about how we can tackle such problems. Like there is someone who was having the difficulty because their parent, his parents was having the divorce issues, and he didn't be able to focus on the studies. And yeah, I know that you can feel about his feelings.
Yes.
So we read that stories. Then we come up with some more insights about how we can find it. Also, through those gatherings where we have different topics, we also talk about suicide. We usually at every meeting we have a different topic. Like we talk about the love, we talk about how we can promote our well-beings. We talk about such topics, including how can even prevent suicide. Yeah, that's some of the activities that we do to prevent suicide among the university students.
Oh, that's wonderful.
To add on it, Rose, at Solid Mind, you know that we support many higher education institutions across the continent and beyond. We have seen a pattern where in the campuses or universities or institutions, students don't seek help. Much as they can be equipped with counseling centers, awareness centers, great programs to support the well-being of students, but there is the students are reticent to use those services. We haven't done a research to know why, but again, I think it comes down to stigma and lack of awareness, or even being fearful about what it could lead to. Maybe you feel like it could be detrimental to your school, your scholarship, and other things. So we need to multiply these initiatives like Sangishuti to make sure that students feel like it's okay. Try to normalize the whole thing, and try to be there if someone feels like they don't know where to turn, they don't know what to do in the circumstances. But I think there's this reticence of reaching out for help. Most of the people, even the clinic, we see it, they seek help when they are really, really very sick.
Bad.
Yeah. So in some cases, we had to refer them to some of the referral hospitals in town or wherever they will be, even outside Rwanda. So I wish we could reach out to them before, or they could reach out to us before it gets too far and too late for them, because now they will have to miss classes. Sometimes they get dismissed. Sometimes they get sent home because the condition is severe. So we need to be more proactive in raising our voices, having multiple initiatives like Emmanuel's initiative and Sangishuti. So I think seeking help has become like a big pattern that we see, not even in the institutions, but in the community as well. We get calls from family members who are saying, I know that my brother is suffering, I know my sister is suffering, I know my mom is suffering, but they don't know how to help. But they don't have awareness of their condition. So we need to be more proactive, but also for the healthcare system in general. I always wish that we could have mental health integrated in healthcare system. So anyone, I think we have started to see it more and more.
Yes.
Anyone who comes for any other diseases, so they can be referred to a counselor or to mental health, just to check it and make sure that the person is coping okay. Because I think that's where in North America we are heading. Now there's this thing of preventative medicine. That's how they call it, where you go how many often in a year, how many times in a year to for a checkup, or once a year for people who don't have issues. In that process of checking up, they also check your blood pressure, they check your blood work, they take blood, they check the whole body, minerals and other things. We need to reach to the point where we actually check how people are coping with stress, because stress is part of life. If we don't cope well, it will accumulate and continue to draw us down.
I think it's really fascinating that a lot of the work behind prevention is really advocating and encouraging reaching out sooner.
Absolutely.
So maybe I want to hear from both of you as we're about to close, how, especially for students, because I think as a student, there's all those pressures of, as you mentioned, academic, financial, family, but also relationships, can be relationships with friends, but also romantic relationships. So I'd like to first ask Emmanuel.
Rose, also transitioning.
Right.
That's
true. I was actually going to share that with Emmanuel, because I know as a MasterCard scholar, there's always been conversations about people being so terrified what happens once they leave the school. Now going outside of school, starting their careers and all of that. So I want to hear specifically from Emmanuel first. How would you encourage students who may be struggling? Maybe you're not entirely sure how far they're struggling, but what could be a word of encouragement for both students, but also scholars who might be listening to us today?
Yeah, what I can say is that it's okay not to be okay. We all face challenges, and those challenges are the part of life. They should be there just for making us strong, not just for making us think that we don't deserve living. It's okay to seek help. Share the situation you're facing with your friends, and even you can get to professional help when necessary. So together we can create a world where suicide is a history. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Chantal?
Rose, I was thinking that in our society, especially in Africa, we are raised up by encouraging us to suppress. We suppress everything. You get sad. I remember in rural areas I was growing up, sometimes a child will cry and they beat them for crying. So we are always told guhisha munda.
Yes.
There's even a proverbs which actually helps with that, always suppressing. So I see people who come in the clinic and they are emotionless. They have suppressed their emotions below the level, to the point where when you tell them, what makes you happy? Oh, happy? No, I don't get happy. What makes you sad? Oh, for me, I'm a resilient person. I don't even show emotions. But guess what? By suppressing, you are actually sitting on a volcano. It's just a matter of time before it explodes.
Wow.
So sometimes those are detrimental things that we think they are normal, but they're not. You swallow everything and keep swallowing deep down, and then in the end, you start having this psychosomatization or some other stuff, but also it will explode one way or the other. Emotions are part of us, and it is okay to display your emotions. So forth. It's not true, because it's normal. So we need to be real to ourselves, not keep fooling. Maybe those things worked in the past.
Yes.
For our forefathers, the generational ancestral stuff. But for now, it's okay to display your emotions. It's very normal. But when you suppress too much, that's where one day it will explode. So my message to as we conclude is that emotions are part of us. We need to let them out. You don't have to be mad at people. You don't have to be angry and destroy things, but you can express your anger and tell people, you said, you know what, guys, you're making me upset. I have to withdraw from this situation so I can process it. So there's a way you can process it, let it go without having that accumulation of emotions. So I think my message today is that if we want to live in a safe world without suicide, we need to attend to ourselves. Some of us have grew up in a situation where we were surviving. My generation, we grew up surviving. Now, when you survive, you cannot be depressed. But everything gets buried somewhere. One day, if you finish school, you get married, you have 2 kids, you have money in the pocket, you have a job, that stability, it's very detrimental. If you've been hiding things, they will come out. And you get confused. You say, look, when I was struggling at university, without having money, without having food, I will go 2 days without eating and I was okay. Now that I have everything, I'm losing it. That's the time that everything you've been avoiding come and catch up with you. And it is confusing to people. So my message today is like, let us stop tuning out too much and try to tune in. Check in how we are feeling, Rose. How am I sad today? Am I feeling like I have low energy? Am I feeling rested? Or am I feeling happy? Am I feeling satisfied? Or am I feeling empty? Like, you have to check in with yourself, how you feel and how you think. And then your holistic health system will be aligned. There will be a synchronization between your body, your nerve system, and your consciousness. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So thank you both, Chantal and Emmanuel, for the very enriching conversation. And to our listeners, suicide is there. And as this is a month that reminds us of prevention, thank you so much, Chantal and Emmanuel, for being here and making time to talk about something that is so passionate and meaningful to the both of you. And it means so much to us, and we hope to have you again very soon.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
And to our listeners, as mentioned, September is the month for suicide prevention. And there's even a specific day, which was the 10th of September, where we talk about suicide prevention and bringing awareness to suicide and how to prevent it. So suicide is a deep and difficult conversation and topic, but it is something that is happening not just at a country level, but nationwide and global wide. So if you do know someone who may be struggling, can be a family member, can be a student that you study with, could even be a colleague you work with, feel free to reach out. We do have Solid Minds Counseling Clinic, happy to help you and to help you be at your fullest potential. But there's also initiatives at different institutions like Sangishuti at University of Rwanda, Huye campus. So if you do know some of those initiatives across the country and other places, feel free to reach out to them as well. So thank you so much for being with us. This is Live Out Your Potential, a Solid Minds podcast series. We hope to see you very soon. Goodbye.